Today we are going over the case of Summer Wells. Now, there's a lot to go over in this case, so I'm going to do the best that I can to cover everything. So, first, we will talk about Summer. Then, I will talk about the last day that she was seen. Then, I'll go into talking about her family and their backgrounds and the evidence that the police have released, which isn't much. And then at the end, I'll go over the theories that are out there. And of course, I'll be giving my unprofessional opinion throughout the video. So let's go ahead and get into it. Summer Wells was a precious blue eyed, blonde haired little 5-year-old girl at the time that she went missing. Summer would now be about 7 years old. Summer was a huge daddy's girl, and she was always right by his side when he was home from work. She was also always under her mother when her father wasn't around. Summer was also a tomboy, but she also had a girly side where she loved to dress up as Elsa and she loved to swirl in circles. Summer was also the boss of the house. Her parents said she always was telling her brothers what to do. Summer lived with her father, Don, mother, Candace, and 3 older brothers on Ben Hill Road in Hawkins County, Tennessee. They lived on a 11-acre property, which was pretty much in the middle of nowhere. And 11 acres is a lot of land. Her grandmother also lived in a trailer on the property as well. Now, her name is also Candace, so we'll just call her Grandma so we don't get them confused. So now let's get into the last day little Summer was seen, which was on June 15th, 2021. Now, this day started like any other day for the Wells family. Dawn woke up for work about 6:30 a.m. and saw little Summer was still asleep in the middle of the bed between him and his wife, where she usually slept. Dawn said he then left around 7 a.m. to get to work. Candace said that she woke up about 7:30 a.m. to take her mother to a doctor's appointment, which she also took Summer, but she left her 3 sons at home. At 8 a.m., Candace drops her mother off at the doctor's, and then her and Summer wait out in the parking lot for a little while before they receive a call from 15-year-old Hunter, who is a family friend. Which Hunter says that Candace actually texted him first earlier that morning, and he was just calling her back. But, anyways, she said Hunter called to see what they were doing and if they wanted to come over until Grandma was done at her appointment. So Candace and Summer go over to Hunter's house for a while until Grandma called to say she was ready to get picked up. Now, while she was there, Candace told Hunter that the boys were actually with their dad and not home alone, according to what Hunter says. Now, Candace completely denies ever saying this. So Hunter then asks his mom if he could go with Candace, and she said yes. So Hunter, Candace, and Summer drive to pick up Grandma. Now, after picking up Grandma, they went to Walgreens to get a prescription filled. And according to Candace, Dawn called to check in and see how everything was going. Now, Hunter says that wasn't why Dawn called, and that he actually called to tell Candace that there was a strange man walking around their property, and that this man has been showing up for weeks, and that he thought he was watching the kids. Now, this is according to Hunter. Candace also denies ever saying this. Now, after the phone call, the pharmacy told them that it was going to be about 30 minutes. So Candace decides to take the kids to a water hole to play while they waited, but first she made a few stops. She stopped to get twisted tea and then stopped to get some vape pens. So once they got there, Candace says that Hunter went roaming into the woods, while her and her mother sat next to the water to watch Summer play. And not long after, Hunter came out the woods and started playing with Summer in the water. Now, Hunter says that the grandma stayed in the car and him and Candace sat by the water drinking twisted teas together. Now, remember, Hunter's only 15. And once again, that's according to Hunter, and Candace denies this as well. So then, after a while, they leave to go pick up Grandma's prescription. They then stopped at Sonic to get some slushies, and then they went to the grocery store just to pick up some necessities. Then they dropped Hunter off. They went back home, and on the way, they took a video of Summer sleeping on some milk cartons. Now, a lot of people think that she was no longer alive in this video, but experts said that her lips are still very pink in this video, so she had to still be alive during this time. Once they get home, Candace says that she had her sons come out and help unpack all of the groceries. Then from there, the boys started watching TV while Candace and Summer go and help Grandma plant some flowers. When they were done, Summer tells her mom that she wants to go inside and play with her brothers. So then Candace walks Summer back to the house and then goes back to Grandma's to help her put on her knee brace. Now, Candace says it only took her 2 minutes, which I definitely feel like it took her more than 2 minutes to help her mother and then walk back to her home. But that's just my opinion. But maybe Candace isn't too good with time frames. So once she walked back in her home, she didn't see Summer. That's when she asked the boys who told her that Summer went downstairs to play with her toys. Candace then started yelling for her, but she didn't answer, which was weird to Candace because Summer always answered and comes running. So Candace went down to check, and Summer was gone. Now, there is a back door downstairs that leads straight outside, but Candace said she didn't remember if it was locked or not. But she said Summer wouldn't have went outside alone because she was scared of the wildlife in the area. She says she immediately called Dawn, and Dawn told her to call 911. And from there, they both ended up calling the police, which was around 6:30 p.m. Candace said that she then started looking around the property while waiting for police. Now, Dawn showed up to help look as well, but the crazy part is that he showed up before the police even did. And Dawn was working about 45 minutes from home, from what he says. Don said when he pulled up, he saw the neighbors out looking, and he immediately knew that Summer was kidnapped, which is a little weird to me as well. So that is the timeline of what happens up until Summer's disappearance, according to Candace. Now, let's go over what little evidence that the police did release. The police and search teams searched the area for days. They even brought out cadaver dogs, which Candace was actually upset about, but the dogs did pick up Summer's scent, and it led them from the back door of their house to a path behind the house that led to the main road before losing her scent, which lead people to think someone did actually take her. Now, police haven't said much about this case, but they did say that Candace and Dawn fully cooperated at first. They took lie detector tests and passed, which we know you can't always rely on a lie detector test, but it is something to consider that all three, Dawn, Candace, and Grandma, all passed, which doesn't really seem likely if they were lying. Now, they also were out helping looking for Summer and they went in for questioning multiple times. They have done plenty of interviews to spread awareness about Summer, but they were still not cleared. And after that, Dawn and Candace stopped cooperating, which I can't really say that I blame them because it seems like they were doing everything they could and police still had them as the main suspects. Candace believes it's because they were poor and they have criminal backgrounds, which we will go over very shortly. But, anyways, she felt like the police wanted it to be them, so they would kind of debunk any other options, which could possibly be very true and wouldn't be the first time police have done something like that. Now, there was also a neighbor that said around the same time of Summer's disappearance, she and her two teenage children were outside and they heard a loud animalistic scream. And shortly after that, they heard a car door shut. Now, the police said that whatever they heard had nothing to do with the case, which I'm not really sure how they would know that. But then on June 26th, police put out a statement asking for a driver of a red Toyota pickup truck with white buckets in the back to come forward because they think they may have seen something related to Summer's disappearance. But no one ever came forward, which is kind of a red flag to me because if you were in that area with that type of truck, you would probably just come forward to see if maybe you did see anything that might be relevant to the case. But with them not coming forward, makes me kind of feel like they might have actually had something to do with Summer's disappearance. But that's just me thinking, and it's just a possibility. They also released the dispatched call, which doesn't add up to what Candace says happened, but maybe the dispatcher just got the information mixed up with Candace probably being pretty hysterical and everything, but I'm not sure. Maybe there was a whole nother story that Candace just came up with after the first story she came up with, but I'm not sure. I'll play the tape for you guys to listen to, and you guys can kind of come up with your own speculations.
And 110 Ben Hill Road off of Beach Creek should be the first residence on your right. Reference to a missing 4-year-old. The parents have called in and advised that the mother had went for a walk, came home, now they can't find her. They've been yelling for her. She's been gone for about 10 minutes now.
When you got the original call that mom went on a run, and when you came back that Sandra was gone?
And for that's what the father advised. He's at work about an hour away, trying to make his way home.
Careful.
Now, the police searched their home multiple times and they went through their phones and computers, but no arrests have ever been made, which shows me that they don't really have much evidence on the family. But like I said, the police haven't said much. They haven't said if Candace's story checks out, if Dawn was at work, or if they found anything connecting the parents to Summer's disappearance. But they did say that there is zero evidence that Summer was kidnapped. So now let's get into Dawn and Candace's backgrounds. I'm going to start with Candace. Now, Candace actually had two children before meeting Dawn with a much older man, and their names were Andrew and Candace as well. Now, Candace would say that this man was very controlling and abusive, and he would make her use substances. Now, these two children, Andrew and Candace, were actually taken at the very young ages of 2 years old and 6 months old, after the 2-year-old boy was beaten very badly with a baseball bat, which is why they were taken from her. Now, I'm not sure if Candace was abusing the children or if the father was, but that just shows to me that she is capable of doing something to Summer or allowing Dawn to do something to her. And then there's the fact that Candace can be very manipulative, which this is just my opinion, but I'm going to play you a clip of a phone call of Candace calling her sister-in-law with a false story about Dawn. And let me know what you think down in the comments below. Now, remember, this didn't actually happen, and I'm not sure why she's even saying all of this.
Hello?
Hey, Mary.
Hey,
What's up?
what's going on, Candace?
They just took Donnie away.
Who did?
The police.
They did? How come?
I don't know. They wouldn't tell me the reason why. But they're flying him out to Boston, Massachusetts.
They're flying him off to Boston?
Yeah.
Really? Oh my gosh, Candace. They didn't tell you why?
No.
So what they do? They just knocked on the door and came in and cuffed him and took him?
Yeah.
Oh my god. I'm so sorry, Candace. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I wish I wish they would have told you the reason why.
They didn't tell me anything. They just said they had to take him because of something that Jeannie said or did.
Oh, really? Wow, Candace, I'm really sorry. I'm so sorry, Candace. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, honey. I feel so bad for you. I wish I was there. I wish I could hold you, Candace.
He's never given me the kisses wrong, ever. He's always been the greatest father.
Right? Oh my gosh, Candace, I'm so sorry. Gosh. So you don't think that they're just gonna take him for maybe a couple of days and release him?
No, I don't think so.
You don't think so? Well, then,
Whatever Jeannie and her friends did.
you know, I don't know, Candace. I don't know. You know, they might just take him maybe for a couple of hours. Maybe they're just taking him to question him or something. You know what I mean?
Why would I take him all the way to Boston?
What?
But why would I take him all the way to Boston? This is the question, you know?
I don't know. Boston? I don't know. He don't have any ties in Boston that I know of, right?
Not at all.
Yeah, not that I know of. Just, I mean, the only places he's ever been is like
Federal. That's all I know. Federal.
Federal. Huh. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know, Candace. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I don't know what's going on.
Oh, what I know. I have nobody now.
Oh my gosh. I know. Is your mom coming back?
No.
She's not?
Storm the Capitol. That's all I know.
Wow. Yeah.
They're gonna kill him.
Huh?
They're gonna kill him. They're gonna hurt him.
The drug cartel, is that what you said? They're gonna kill him, they're gonna hurt him?
Yeah.
Well, if he's messed up in drugs, Candace, that's not your fault, okay?
So, after hearing that, what do you think? It's definitely raising some red flags to me because if you can cry and put on a show like that over a story that's not even real, because Dawn never got arrested, how can we trust you? Like, how can we trust what you're saying about Summer? And later, Dawn and Candace would come out and say that that call was a prank, which is even more sick to me. Like, now I'm wondering if it was all lie and they might actually have done something to Summer or be involved in her disappearance. Now, there's another strange coincidence in this case. Now, Candace also had a sister named Rose who also went missing back in 2009. And she is still missing, which is very strange to me. Like, what are the odds that Summer and her sister Rose have both went missing without a trace and still haven't been found to this day? Now, let's get into Dawn's background, which is pretty extensive. Now, Dawn's father married a woman who had 6 kids. Now, Dawn's stepsisters claim that Dawn would sneak into his 5-year-old stepsister Jeannie's room at night and touch her inappropriately. Now, Dawn was probably about 12 years old at that time. And then his other sister, Mary, also said when she was about 13, Dawn chased her around the house with his friends and was trying to rip off her clothes and assault her. But she was able to get away and run to the police station, and she ended up pressing charges. But then when her parents found out, they made Mary drop the charges. Now, Don would end up going to prison for 2 years for an unrelated situation. His family thought he was going to change and he was going to come back this changed man, but on the first night back, he snuck back into Jeannie's room, and Jeannie was probably not even a teenager yet. And that night, Jeannie was like, I had enough. And she ran into her parents' room and told them what was going on. Now, Don's father wouldn't let them press charges on Don, which is pretty ridiculous to me because how could you let your son do this without any consequences? It's just crazy to me. Now, I will let you guys know that this is all allegedly. I'm just going off the word of his two sisters who have publicly came out and said this. But I personally don't think that they will lie about this, especially because in an interview, Dawn was asked about Jeannie and Dawn said it was consensual. So take a listen to this and tell me how sick you think this is.
My stepsister is Jeannie.
Jeannie. And
Yeah, we did have a relationship when we were younger.
And what was
and she's just as guilty as I am.
So
she's trying to pull the wool over everybody's eyes like she's a Miss Innocent and all this and that. Well, she's not.
walk me through that. Help me understand.
I would rather not, but so we kind of had a relationship when we were younger. Yeah, I was a bit older. I had a dirt bike, you know. I don't know how old I was exactly, but she started dating her cousin, which was about 12 years old at that time. And ever since then, she just wanted me out of the picture. Ever since then. And it started all this hateful stuff ever since then.
And how old were you?
You know, I don't know. Maybe 15, I don't know.
And how old was she?
I don't know. You know, she was a lot younger than me, you know, and I thought and I remember thinking why would, I didn't think it was right, you know, but I was too young to understand how girls are too.
Walk me through that. When you say you didn't think it was right, what were you guys?
Well, because she was younger. Because she was younger. No, she would play with my thing and I would play with hers. I mean, that's about it. I mean,
okay. And how long did that go on?
I don't know. For a little while or whatever, but like when everything changed.
Like, oh my gosh. I can't even believe he would say something like this. And it's just so sick to me. It really is. Now, allegedly, as Don was getting into his adult life, he started using substances. He ends up meeting a woman named Pamela in a meth house, and they end up getting married and having 2 children. Now, his sister said that the 2 children were very neglected, and his sister Mary would go over there and just feed and bathe the children because Pamela just wouldn't, and she just didn't know how to take care of children. Now, apparently, Pamela caught Dawn trying to sell their son for substances, and she ended up flipping out and taking the 2 children to Dawn's family's house. Now, that right there is a big red flag to Summer's case if it is true. On October 14th, 2020, 8 months before Summer went missing, Dawn was arrested and charged with domestic assault, possession of a handgun while under the influence, and unlawful possession of a weapon. Deputies spoke with Candace, who said Dawn came home drunk and saw a man in the house. According to the police report, he started to argue with the man and had a struggle with Candace. According to reports, she was pushed down during the incident, causing damage to her knee. Candace also said Dawn then began punching himself in the face and left the home. She then filed an order of protection against Dawn, saying that Dawn drinks and throws things. She went on to state that she was afraid of being hurt and claimed he was abusive mentally and physically. But only 4 days later, Candace would drop all of the charges against Dawn. So I know that was a lot, and you probably have a lot of questions, as well as I do. Like, where is Summer? is she still alive? And if so, where is she? Did her family hurt her? Did they sell her or trade her? Did someone take her? I honestly don't know what to think, and I'm really conflicted. A big part of me feels like her family has something to do with her disappearance, just based on the information regarding their past. For a few examples, Dawn's past with touching little girls, and then the fact that Summer slept in the same bed with him is really concerning to me. And then the accusations of him trying to sell his oldest son for substances, those two things alone stand out a lot to me. And then with Candace, she had a past with letting men hurt her children and also hurting them herself. And what also gets me is that Candace's sister is missing as well and has never been found for years. And to me, that doesn't seem like a coincidence. And then there's the fact that they had an open CPS case before Summer went missing, and 6 weeks after Summer's disappearance, the boys were taken out of the home by CPS. Now, there's a gag order in place on the information to why the case was open in the first place and why the boys were taken from the home. Dawn says it was because after Summer went missing that he went off the deep end. He was drinking all the time and he was getting into situations he shouldn't be getting into. But I honestly don't believe that. And then on top of that, Summer was taken out of her home that was literally like in the middle of nowhere. You can't even really see the driveway to even know that there's a house up there. I'm gonna play a clip of Dawn driving up to the driveway and into the driveway. So just kind of let you see what I'm talking about. Like you wouldn't know that that was even a driveway unless you lived in that area and you knew the Wells family. That's just my opinion.
Up here where this house is on the left is our road. I passed it straight. This is all our property here to the left. All this, our house is up there on top. So all this is our property. So I turn straight away in here. Straight. And our house is up there.
So after seeing that and just the layout of the home, it really makes me feel like it had to be someone that they knew, if not them. And I don't understand how anyone wouldn't have heard someone take her, especially if Candace was outside with her family, like she says. And then there's the interview with Dr. Phil, which I strongly suggest you watch. Don literally said he thinks some hillbilly gang took her. And Candace starts crying. And that's the first time that I ever saw Candace cry over Summer. And I think Dr. Phil noticed that as well. And then they started pushing Candace on that subject. And Candace ends up getting really, really emotional and ends up walking off from Dr. Phil. Now, Dr. Phil had two experts on the show that said Candace showed signs of knowing what happened to Summer. Now, here's a few things that make me feel like it might not be the family. For one, they all three passed lie detector test. Two, the police searched everything from their homes, their cars, their technology, their phone records, and I feel like they would have found something. But yet they haven't released any information and they haven't arrested anyone. So if they had something, I don't think Dawn and Candace would be walking around freely. Now, I'm not saying it's not possible that maybe someone saw Summer at the watering hole and followed them home and then took her. But at the same time, I feel like they'd have to know the layout of the home and the land, and maybe even know Summer for no one to have heard her yell or scream. But these are just my opinions. So let me know what you guys think happened to Summer down in the comments. And I've also been thinking about going live once a week to have a discussion with you guys on whatever case I drop that week. So let me know if you guys would be interested in that. And if I have enough people, I'll do one this week on the Summer Wells case. And I just want to thank you guys so much for watching. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button. And I'll see you guys next time.